Hello and welcome back to another week of Open Mic Night. So glad that you guys could join us again this week. We are joined by our buddy Colin Ball, and tonight we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about how Apple has the first round of HomeKit coming out, also the iTunes streaming service, and some other fun stuff. So stick around. Let's have a good time. Alrighty, so like I said, welcome back to Open Mic Night. So glad that you guys could join us. We have some new technology going on tonight. So if you guys are watching the live video or watching the video at all, if you guys are on YouTube watching this later, you guys will notice it looks a little bit different. So we're trying something new tonight. We're going strictly Wirecast, and we're using Skype for the connection. And that is all in hopes that the audio works a little bit better than it has in the past, going to sound a little bit crisper and cleaner, but we also could have some hiccups. So who knows how this is going to go. But as you can see over to my right, now we can both, oh, that way, it's opposite. Now you can see over there, we can both be on the screen at the same time. Mr. Colin Ball, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing?
Doing good. It's been a week that I was kind of out of the technology sphere. I was up in Minnesota for the weekend. Didn't really stay in touch too much with technology or the news or anything like that. So you came up big this week. You were saving me with some of the Apple news, so I'm glad to have that. How was your week, though?
It was good. I mean, a lot of trying to get ahead at work so that in a month when I go to San Diego for a week, I don't have any regrets of taking a week off of work.
There you go. Always being prepared. Hey, turn the gain up just a tad on your microphone, on like the actual Yeti.
Oh, where's that? Tell me how that is.
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
Okay.
Sounds a lot better. All right, so tonight we have kind of an action-packed show for you guys. We're going to have all of our segments tonight like we did the past 2 weeks. Looking pretty good over on this end. So we're going to have, like I said, we're going to talk about that news. We do have a seed segment, so some Apple history for you guys. I do have a core rant, and I think it's something that you guys will like because you guys have probably experienced it, and if not, you'll get a good laugh out of it. And then some good tips of the week. We're going back to the question from Organized Mindfully. I remembered his question from 2 weeks ago in the chat room, and I said I would get back to it last week, and I completely forgot to mention it. And so this week we're going to go back and answer his question that he had on iCloud Drive, and then go into our picks of the week. But before we get into that, again, I just do want to mention that if you guys want to support the show for free and you guys shop on Amazon, remember to use the Amazon link. It's omnpodcast.com/Amazon. That'll redirect you over to Amazon. You guys won't notice anything. Anything you buy, it doesn't charge you any extra, but I get a little bit of a referral for sending you guys over there. So it is the best option to support the Open Mic Night podcast. And I know that now Colin's on board. He'll be looking for that support too. So again, really easy. And I did notice there were a lot more purchases this last month. So I don't know if one of you, multiple people, I don't know how many people started using it, but I was glad to see that we did have a few more orders than usual. But yeah, go ahead and keep using that again, omnpodcast.com/Amazon. Just bookmark that up in your bookmark bar and use that as your Amazon bookmark. So thank you guys to all you guys who used that. It's awesome and it helps support the show. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the news. Colin, I'm going to let you take this first one because I was kind of excited about it and because it's something we've been talking about for a while, but finally we have some news about it. So go ahead and lead us off there.
This morning when I was looking around just trying to find some articles or just news to talk about, TechCrunch luckily had a kind of almost an Apple section on their homepage today. The first thing that came up was the first round of devices that will be supported by Apple's HomeKit have been released. There are, how many are there? I think there's about 6 or 7. I'll name them off. We can put the links to where these are, probably in the YouTube description, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and I'll put all the links to the show notes and everything like that in the description and in the show notes for the iTunes and the podcast and stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead and just mention a few of the highlights.
So a few of the ones that are out there, the biggest one seems to be the Elgato Eve, and what I'm getting from it is that it works a lot like the Nest. It kind of gives you indoor, outdoor temperature, humidity, gives you all these little different things they won't set your thermostat for you, but they'll give you an idea of where you should be setting your thermostat, and those will connect directly to HomeKit if you have it. So on your phone, when you wake up, just like a weather app, you'll be able to pull that up, get everything exactly for not just like in your area, but exactly for where you are. And while, I mean, that doesn't sound that great, it is pretty good, especially for the price. These only are running $80 for the Eve room, which I'm taking that as what's like the indoor outdoor temperature. And then they have the Eve for weather and Eve for energy. Oh man. And then Eve door and window. I did look up this stuff earlier, so I'm reading it again, and it's processing once again after work. So, but that one's a big one. So that one is the Elgato Eve. Another big one, which they're listed one and two on TechCrunch's article, is the Echo B3. And the reason that this one looks pretty good compared to the Elgato Eve is that this one it almost looks like an LED display, but it's built into the main hub where you can see the temperature, you can see what you want to set at it because it is the thermostat, just as though the Nest is. This one might be a little bit more expensive because when it does finally start shipping in July, it'll run you $250. But that's because this is a fully connected piece of hardware.
Right.
You put it in your home, and then you have the access to your thermostat and everything, and it'll work from your phone. It'll have little sensors throughout your house that you can pick and choose where things are and figure out what to do. But to me, those are probably the two biggest ones that'll come out.
Yeah, those thermostats are interesting, and especially as more people start to use them. I like the B2 because what that has is, I don't know if the Nest has updated, but when the Nest first came out, it doesn't have those extra sensors that you can put in the different rooms, and the B does. So the hard part about those Nests and everything like that was, okay, well, where the temperature, where that thermostat is at, that's what it's reading from. But you get, obviously, your home, your apartment is different temperatures in all the different rooms. So having that B have those extra sensors, I think is kind of a advantage for them over the Nest. So it's kind of nice to see that they'll be part of HomeKit. Are there any lights on there? I was interested because I'm really looking right now into the Philips Hue, Philips Lux, anything like that.
Aren't saying anything about lights in particular. Would kind of go along with lights. They have a smart plug, which you plug it directly into an outlet and serves as an additional outlet. But that outlet you can control from your phone, which I've seen things like this before, and they always irritate me, where you can turn off things, like multiple things at once. And I get that not every outlet will turn on and off with the light switch, but at the same time, it's like, why are you putting stuff on something that doesn't turn on and off with the light switch?
Right.
See, these are the things that bother me.
Right. Yeah, those light switches or the actual power switches can be interesting because I know, so I just ordered the Amazon Echo, and so it's kind of a home controlling device. You can have it control all stuff, you can ask it questions, do music, and one of the biggest features with that they just added was the ability to turn on and off your Philips lights, or there's one other brand, Weibo or Wemo or something like that, one other brand. And so I'll be interested to try that because I am going to order some Philips Lux lights. So I noticed, this is just kind of a sidebar, but Philips has two different styles. They have the Philips Hue, which are extremely expensive, like $50 a bulb, and those can go any color. It covers the whole spectrum. And then the Lux are a little bit cheaper. They're about $20 a bulb, and those ones are just white lights. So those are the ones I'm going to go with because I don't think I need all the colors. But I'm interested to get into that whole thing, and hopefully all of that sort of stuff will come to HomeKit as well, and maybe even the Amazon Echo might be able to connect into it, although I highly doubt it. But we'll see where that goes.
No, it's funny that you said I was going to say, it's funny that you said you're getting the Echo. Someone in our office got one. I haven't heard anything about if it went well or if it was one of those things where he was like, ugh.
Right. Yeah, there's kind of a mixed bag of reviews. Some of them, most people I do see kind of really like them. Once you get them up and going in your home, it's still in beta, so well, I don't know if you call it beta. It's invite only. And so they sent out the invites, the original ones, way back like November, December timeframe. Those people are just now getting their Echoes. I know the first people like a month ago got theirs. and they're still receiving them. I got the initial invite, but didn't pull the trigger. And then I was obviously on Home Gadget Geeks with Jim Collison, and he had gotten his, and it kind of convinced me. So I requested another invite, waited 2 weeks, ordered it, and it won't be here till mid-July. But still looking forward to that. I think it'll be nice. But it's kind of this whole revolution of home automation. And it'll be interesting to see what Apple can bring to the game with HomeKit. You know, they've been talking about this for over a year now and still have not brought it. So this first round is exciting to see that at least something's, getting off the ground with the whole HomeKit. So
yeah. Well, and then they have WWDC coming up, so this is just the precursor to what could be announced. Yeah. If anything's announced.
Exactly. Yeah, we do have WWDC, so there could be a lot more coming out. We don't know yet. Wow, is that already coming up like next week? I don't know when.
I think so.
Yeah.
Soon.
Wow, that's coming up quick.
All of a sudden it was June, so.
Right. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, so we got to prepare for WWDC. All righty. All right, so that's going to wrap up that HomeKit conversation. So, yeah, whether you like it or not, I don't know if you guys are into home automation, but we will see how it all goes throughout. But now, Colin, actually, one more thing on that. We heard that the Apple TV might be kind of the hub of the HomeKit. Apple might come out at WWDC with a new Apple TV, and that's going to kind of be the central hub. You think that's true, or do you think all these things are going to be able to work through a different medium, a laptop, a desktop?
I mean, I would think that it would be able to work through something else, but if they came out with the Apple TV as the main hub, I would hope that the Apple TV all of a sudden has more functionality, where it's maybe like it's a box instead of being an HDMI port, and they give you like HDMI sticks, and you can put it in multiple TVs or something like that.
Oh, that'd
I just
be nice.
Came up with that. So if they did come up with that, they stole it. So.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, well, and they dropped the price down to $69 a few months ago. I don't know if that was in anticipation of getting out all the inventory to bring in the new Apple TV, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll all hear more. We'll know a lot more once WWDC is done and over with. So. Mm-hmm. All right, so Apple, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I had mentioned that I was excited to kind of see the announcement from Apple on their new streaming service. Now, obviously, Spotify, Pandora, all these sort of streaming media services, Beats, have been huge, popular. Everyone has been straying away from iTunes, from actually buying the music and just streaming it, or technically half owning it through Spotify, where you pay for a month and you can have whatever songs you want in your library. Now, a lot of people were giving Apple some slack, saying that iTunes is here and gone. No one uses it anymore. First of all, the app is awful to use. Second of all, no one really buys their music. And did Apple miss the boat by not getting into streaming music early? But they kind of have their answer to it. And Colin, do you want to cover that one as well?
Sure. I mean, the big thing with the Apple, it's still going to be called iTunes, is at least that's what I'm getting out of it. But it'll be a service, will cost the same as Spotify, or I think it's Rdio Premium, which allows you to play on multiple devices instead of just online. It's $10 a month. Sorry if I didn't say that already. If I did, I'm repeating myself. But it's like everything else. It's really not offering much of anything new other than the Apple name on top of it. They're in the store. That they're already saying that Beats is already going to be another thing on its own. It will carry an Apple moniker with it probably, but it's still going to be Beats. And instead of offering a free service like Rdio will do, or like Spotify, or like Pandora, they're pretty much going to defer everything, if it's free, to being iTunes Radio, which unfortunately that's a thing still, because since it was released, I used it for a little while, but I've always been disappointed with iTunes Radio. It seems like the same set of songs always plays, instead of giving you a new just a new deck almost. Every playlist seemed to be the same. Like, you would hear the same songs, and that's just frustrating. But I kind of hope that this will work, because iTunes does have access to way more music than Spotify may. I'm sure it'll come out at some point that Apple isn't paying the artists what they were hoping for, but until that day, I'm going to continue using Spotify. But
yeah, and that was kind of what I was going for too when I heard about this. I'm like, okay, well, iTunes I mean, Spotify is actually pretty good. They've got a good access to music. The one that's actually really lacking right now is Amazon Prime Music. They don't have as much music. Spotify, pretty good, but iTunes, even better. I mean, they tend to always have all of the music. So for $10 a month, might be worth it. And $10 is priced right at where Spotify Premium is at. So, I mean, I think it might be a few cents higher, actually, when you look at it. But it could be interesting, could be big. But like you said with the iTunes Radio, I think the problem with iTunes Radio was the whole UI of it. I think it's kind of clunky and weird. And when you have something like Pandora, which was already popular and way easier to use, I think people are going to go more for that Pandora over the iTunes Radio. Now, iTunes Radio is a little bit higher quality. And the one thing I like about iTunes Radio is that it's like built into your Apple TV and all of your devices. So a lot of times, the only time I really use iTunes Radio is when we have people over and we want music coming through the TV. You know, instead of streaming something from my phone to the Apple TV, I'll just use iTunes Radio. It's good enough for something like that. But yeah, you're right. Not as popular as I think they would have wanted. So maybe this might be their kind of second solution to it. And it'll be interesting to see how do they wrap it into the music app on your phone? Is it going to be a new app? I guess we'll see all that sort of stuff at WWDC. Would you rather have it call in a separate app, or would you rather have it kind of still in that one music app on your phone?
I would hope that they make it a downloadable thing instead of throwing it on my phone, because as much as I understand that they're just like putting stuff on there because it might be part of an update release or whatever it may be. Like when I got the Apple Watch app thrown on my phone, and I mean, it doesn't take up any space because it's not connected to anything, but it's still one of those things where I'm like, okay, I'm never going to use this.
It's one more app for that folder that we all have. The one like Apple folder, you just throw all the stuff in that no one ever uses.
Newsstand is in there. Like Passbook, whenever I don't use Passbook, that's in there.
Right. The only one I was happy with, and it's a completely selfish thing, was that podcast app was built in, because as a podcaster, it just makes it easy. Everyone all of a sudden has it on their phone, and they may or may not actually click on it and try out a podcast. So that was one that I was happy, but all the other ones, nope. Even the Apple Maps app, I don't use. I mean, I don't think anyone uses Apple Maps. You download the Google app or you use Waze, one of the two.
And Apple is just now, like, coming up, going to have, what is it?
Mass transit.
Directions for if you're walking.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. It's the mass transit directions. And how have you never had that before? Google's always had like these different directions.
See, and that's my thing. Okay, yeah, traditionally Apple has, come late to the game and but normally they've been a kind of a game changer, with the whole tablet market. Everyone kind of failed at tablets. The problem with the whole music market, navigation market, is that there's people already out there doing it, and they're doing it well. Like, what is to make, what's going to make me switch over to iTunes, this new streaming service from Spotify? What's going to make me come over to Apple Maps instead of using Waze or Google Maps like I've been using for years, because they're already doing well. So I don't know what is going to bring people over.
Who is it? Is it Google that owns Waze?
No, Google uses Waze's data. So they're kind of partnered up, and that's how Waze makes a lot of their money, is because Waze is really good at collecting the stuff because users can actually input the data. And so Google and even Apple Maps pull from Waze, which is kind of nice.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we will see. Again, this is another one of those stories where WWDC is going to be a telling moment for a lot of these stories. And so again, for this iTunes streaming, we'll kind of find out how the whole ins and outs are going to work. And also if they're going to be doing anything combining using Beats at all in this scenario. I think we'll have a lot more details on that once the whole thing comes out. So that is going to do it for the news. Just two quick news stories that we had there, but a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. And you can tell WWDC is right around the corner, because as soon as it is, we get all of these. Is it? Okay, you looked it up. Wow, that's a lot sooner than I thought. Yeah, so as soon as WWDC starts to roll around, you start to get all of those rumors. Same sort of thing for Google I/O. You get all those rumors that come out a week before, everyone trying to predict what's going to happen. So we will see. All right, real quick, I did want to tell you guys, we mentioned a few weeks ago, Gazelle is now a new ad affiliate. So if you guys have any of those old tech gadgets you want to sell, you have the old iPhone before you got the new one, you got that old junk drawer of tech, go on to, well, first of all, go to omnpodcast.com/gazelle, and that's Gazelle. Or if you're watching the live video, there's a link right below, and that's why I put it there. I don't do that to annoy you guys. I put it there to make it easy if you're watching. They are the easiest way to sell back your products. They will pay for everything, the shipping. They'll even send you a box if they want you to, or you can just print off the printing label and throw it on a box you already have. You tell them what condition your stuff's in, you send it to them, they check it out, and they either send you a check or they can give you a little extra money if you take an Amazon gift card. So super fast, super easy. It's how I have sold all of my old devices back, and they actually give you a pretty fair price. And also now they are selling used products. So if you're looking for maybe a refurbished phone, if you want something pretty cheap, refurbished Mac, anything like that, head over to Gazelle as well, and you can check that out. But again, if you guys want to, please go to omnpodcast.com/Gazelle, Gazelle, and that helps out Open Mic Night as well. So thank you guys for everyone who is using that. And I saw that one of you actually did, so awesome. I'm glad you guys are getting use out of it. I hope you enjoyed the process of Gazelle. It's kind of nice. All right, so now time for my new favorite segment, if I can find the intro.
Can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. Can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward.
That is right. It is time for The Seed, a new segment here on Open Mic Night. I'm throwing Colin for a loop because we changed up the audio, and now he has no idea. He was like, he's playing the role that I had the first week. He can't hear any of the bumper music, so I'm sure he's just sitting there like, I don't know where we're at. But yeah, so The Seed, this is
I'm
where
just waiting for you to talk.
Yeah, exactly. That works. That's what I did the first week. So, all right, so The Seed, this is where we look back at Apple history. Apple has been known to always look back at themselves, kind of analyze what they did, and kind of move forward from there, just like Steve Jobs said in that intro. And so that's what we do here. It's kind of a This Week in Apple History. So this week, what we have for you guys was that in 2002, Apple began selling the popular eMac. So now it's not the one you guys are thinking of. When I first saw eMac, I thought, oh, was that colorful PC that all the schools had? And it was the one actually right before that. So the eMac was sold to the public in 2002 at this time, around the June 1st timeframe. And before that, it had only been available for educational, so for students, teachers, and in the school system. And they released that in April, so then in June, they released it to the public. You know, this was back when a 700 MHz PowerPC G4, that was what was powering these things. Man, some major power in those computers. But actually, it was a very good computer back in the day. People really liked them. One of the most popular computers for Apple. And they really took off in the educational sphere. It was kind of what led the way to, I don't know, Colin, about you, if your school system had them, but everywhere I went in Omaha, all the schools had those colorful, iMac computers. And so this was kind of leading the way. Was it not big where you were at?
I went to a small Catholic school. We just had PCs.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in the public school system here, at least in Omaha, they were pretty popular. So this kind of paved the way for that. But yeah, that was back in 2002. And Apple, they kind of looked at this and it was kind of their test. It's like, hey, do our computers work well in the educational environment? And of course, the answer was yes. And they've kind of been pushing education. They make things so much easier for teachers. They have the whole iBook thing where teachers can go and create their own books for the students. At my high school that I went to, each of us had our own Mac. The Apple just always had a focus on education. It's worked out pretty well. And Colin, back when we were in college, I kind of started to notice, especially as we got later into our junior and senior year, you look around the classroom and it was pretty much overrun by Mac. I'd say it was at least 75-25, if not more, on the Mac side.
Well, I will say Apple has always done a great job of being like, you need this in the classroom. I mean, especially around times of graduation, so May, and then talking about back to school in August. They're very good about sending out those emails or having those different advertisements where you're like, do I need that for school? Because they talk about how useful it is, or they talk about like having an iPad, how useful that is in the classroom. I mean, I think it's just seeing as how it worked for them with that, and that was kind of what gave them the power that they have now. I feel like sticking with what worked is probably one of their biggest assets. And I mean, also every kid having one in the classroom kind of makes another kid want it too. So Exactly. So they learned from it, they saw how well it went, and they kept going forward, and we will still continue to see Apple in the education sphere. So that is the seed section. And now on to the core.
Our camera's not turned on. We're making mistakes. We're fixing them as fast as we can, but we take it in the chin. That's part of what we do. And we went through the roof about this.
All right, yeah, so the core, this time of the show where we get to rant about Apple, rant about things they do, stuff they release that just don't make us very happy. So this week we had an attempt, Colin. One of our buddies tried to pull a fast one on us, and he sent us a text. So Colin, you had heard about this actually before I had, because you responded to it, and I didn't. I had to go Google it because I had no idea.
I spent the entire week contemplating, do I send it to everyone or not? Which, do you want me to explain what it is, or do you want to go for it?
No, go for it.
So what it was is, it was this weird text that it came in a bunch of different languages, and if you copied and pasted it into your phone and sent it to other people that had iPhones, it would restart their phone and then lock them out of messages. So the only way for them to get back into the phone, I think they either had to hard restart, or if they have a Mac, they could go on their computer and delete the message from there. But other than that, I heard that it was just keeping people out from deleting it.
Yeah, I heard of kind of some different response from people. Some people said it locked them out. For me, it didn't. For me, every time I would get the message, because I think it was only in the notification. So when it came in on the notification, that is when it triggers restarting the phone. So some people, I think most people were okay. Once it happened once, so my phone would always restart when I got it, then it would... then you'd be fine after that. So what happens, the reason this happens, so if you guys have seen this text or Googled it, it's the one that says effective power, and then it's a bunch of random characters after that. And kind of the funny part is the effective power is kind of useless. You could replace that with any text. It doesn't have to be that exact text. It's not code. A lot of people thought, oh man, this is like rogue code that's like doing something to my phone, and it's not. What happens is it's called a Unicode error. So, and I'm not a programmer, so I'm going to mess up some of the technical talk about this, but pretty much what happens is your notification center tries to read the message and give you the preview. But obviously, when it gets stuck, it was too many of those weird characters, and basically the Unicode thing when these programmers are programming was that if you're doing other languages that have more characters than the English alphabet, then they have to use kind of a different sort of code. And so sometimes an application doesn't know what to do with it. So sure enough, the notification center did not know what to do when it saw all these awkward characters, and there was no fail-safe. Usually when you code, you put something in like, hey, if I don't know what to do something else. But Apple didn't have that in their code, and so the default for most of those is to just reboot. It says, well, let's reboot. That'll probably fix the problem. And so it was kind of a diss on Apple. They're saying how lazy are the coders over at Apple, and they missed not having a fail-safe in there. Apple, of course, came out and said, you know what, we're going to have a fix for this. We're coming out with it. But it was kind of a slip-up from Apple not having any sort of fail-safe. It would have been completely fine. And just for those of you guys who have gotten this before, it's not going to break your phone. It's not bad. It's just kind of funny. It was meant as kind of a prank. You know, you can send it to a buddy, and it'll still work. So if you want it, I'm not going to put it in the show notes, but you can find it. If you just Google the effective power trick or text, I'm sure you guys can find it. But it was it was annoying, to say the least. I didn't like it.
See, did it happen to you in a group text? Did it happen to you when he sent it this weekend?
No, it didn't happen when he sent it.
See, I'm wondering if it only happened if you sent it one-to-one.
Possibly, or if your phone, because I was on my phone physically and in messages when it came up. So when it popped up, I was already there, so Notification Center didn't have to load it. So I'm not sure I'm not sure how it works, but you're right, it didn't work when you sent it in the group, so maybe it is a one-to-one thing, but I'm not sure. All I know is that mainly it happens when your phone is like asleep and it comes in on the Notification Center.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say I could test it really quick, but I don't want to. So.
Yeah, I don't. Well, okay, and this is a question. When you said that, I thought, okay, it's going to come in on my computer. Now, my computer this weekend, we were up at a graduation, and of course, I opened my mouth about this, and then I got it sent to me like 10 times by the people I was telling, and my computer rebooted. Now, I think my computer ran out of battery, but I'm not sure. I don't know if it happens to the computer or not. I don't think it does. I think this is only on iOS devices, but I would be very interested to see if it would restart my computer. So don't send it to me now.
Your iMac?
My laptop. So I had my laptop in Minnesota with us.
You were talking about your iMac.
No, I had my laptop, and my laptop restarted. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the details, what happens, but it was kind of a fun little trick to You can play on your friends there. It'll restart their phone. But no harm, no foul, no permanent damage. No need to chase down the person who did it to you and have them buy you a new phone or anything. So, all right. So we are going to move into the picks of the week.
It's the picks of the week, baby.
All right, the picks of the week, the time of the show where Colin and I tell you guys about something that we have been using and that we think you guys would like as well. I really like Colin's pick. I've actually used it before, but I'll of course let him explain it to you instead of me.
My pick, it's a little bit localized because it's for Omaha specifically, but it is Omaha's Park Omaha app, which Omaha finally, I think it was maybe 6 months ago, something like that, a little under a year ago, that they finally added integration for, I think, all parking meters now, but they all had a card reader available. Didn't have that before. It used to just be coins. But with the card reader, it gave them the opportunity to create an app where on your phone you can add your credit card, find the meter or the zone that you're parked in, and begin adding change to your meter. This makes it easy so that if you're working downtown Omaha, or if you're just downtown Omaha for whatever it may be, for a meeting for a few hours, you, on your phone, can just open up the app, see how much time you have left, and add from there. You don't need to leave a meeting, leave work to go run to your car and make sure that your meter is, that you filled the meter. You can just open your phone up, whether if you have Wi-Fi or if you have data, open that up, pay for some more time, close it, and then be done with it.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And for that exact reason that you just said, because it does. So in the app, it just has a little clicker. So if I paid for an hour, it has a countdown from an hour. And it even gives you a little beep when you're about, I think it's like 5 minutes from being done. It'll let you know, hey, your meter's going to expire in about 5 minutes. I use this almost every single day when I go to school because they also have them by Creighton's campus. So when I can't find a garage spot, which is always, I have to come outside and park, and I use that. It's great. And you know what I noticed is that a lot of other cities have an app like this. So even if you don't live in Omaha, check and see if your parking meters accept this app, because it was cool. It was already cool to be able to take credit card. But then when I found out I don't even have to swipe my credit card, and if I park in the same exact spot, I know that exact number, and so I can just always plug it in, and you can get out of your car, read the number, and then be walking to your destination while you're plugging your meter, which is really nice. And it just goes off your credit card automatically, which is pretty cool. So yeah, a good pick. Solid pick. All right, so my pick is something called Clamor. Now, Clamor came out around the time of South by Southwest. And this is kind of a new little app, and if you think of it as kind of the Vine for audio, it's 19-second audio clips, and they have all different categories. It's meant to kind of be a little snippet of whatever you want. So there's the technology section, a music section, a podcast section. There's a bunch of different stuff, and Clamor is CLAMMR. And last Thursday on Home Gadget Geeks, we actually got a chance to interview one of the founders of Clamor and kind of talk to him about it. And let me tell you, the founders behind this thing are just like really, really cool guys who are completely engaged in this. And what happened was they wanted to get a product out really quick. So what you see now in Clamor is like just the baseline floor, and it's already pretty advanced. So the reason I like it is because you can go click on a section. So on my drive to work, I can click on it, and what people do, so what content creators do, what I do when I use Clamor and I put my stuff on Clamor, is they highlight kind of their best 19-second clip, or they make a 19-second clip, or actually I think it's 18 seconds. I think I have that wrong. I think it's 18. And they put it in there. So if you think about it as a listener, you just turn on the technology feed and you're getting a bunch of 18-second just news clips. And then there's always a listen more option, so they can link to their full article or their full site or their full YouTube video, whatever they want. It's just a very cool new way to get audio content. And for me, I listen to a lot of hour to 2 hour long podcasts. So, every once in a while when I'm getting tired of that and I don't want that, Clamor is kind of what I fire up, and I just, I'm good with 18-second clips. It's kind of interesting, just kind of switches topics and stuff like that. But a very, very cool app that you guys should really try out. It's very customizable and everything like that. Really kind of dive into it because it's a lot more customizable than you guys would think. But yeah, that is Clamor, CLAMMR. And it's a good pick. And actually, he invited me to be on the beta. So I think I'm going to test out the beta before all of them go live. So my phone will have the newest one. So that'll be kind of cool how I get to do that.
I thought I was just trying to download it. I was like, it's in beta because it's on the App Store.
Oh, no. He invited, because since we were interviewing him, he's like, do you guys want to help me out and be on the beta? I'm like, yeah, sure. That sounds like a lot of fun. So
Gotcha.
that is what we are doing. All right, so we're going to head in right now. So Clamor was my pick, and the Park Omaha app, or replace Omaha with whatever your city is. I'm sure most of your cities will have one of these apps. If you're a big city that has a lot of parking meters, they might. So give that a try, and Clamor. All right, so we're going to head into the tips of the week. 2 tips of the week, one for me, one for Colin. And again, this is what I said, so organize mindfully. If you guys are listening out there, or if you are listening, not you guys, you emailed me and stuff like that, and you had asked a question 2 weeks ago, and your question was all about the iCloud drive. And it was how to turn it on, how to use it, can I save my files there, all that sort of stuff. So I just want to give you guys a quick, just kind of overview on how to use, how to set up, and where to find your iCloud drive. Now, iCloud Drive is only going to work on the latest versions of the Mac software and the iOS software. So if you're behind it all, if you're on iOS 7, if you're on whatever the one before Yosemite was, I can't remember. Oh, Mavericks. If you're on anything before that, you're most likely going to need to upgrade so you can access the iCloud Drive. Now, first step obviously is to turn on the iCloud Drive. To do that, very easy. Go to your system preferences, whether you're on the phone or on the computer, and go to your iCloud tab. It's going to be in the same section on both. When you get to your iCloud tab, you will just see the iCloud Drive right up at the top there, and you can go in there and you can just check mark it, turn it on. It'll use your Apple ID, so whatever you have as your iCloud Apple ID, that is what you're going to sign in with. And all of a sudden, you will notice that you now have access to this iCloud Drive. Now, on the computer, the way you access it is by going to your Finder. So the Finder's a little two-faced, little blue and white face thing. Click on that. And on the left-hand sidebar, where all of your file folders are, you'll notice that iCloud Drive should be there. And by default, I think it goes right above your AirDrop tab. So wherever your AirDrop is, you can click on iCloud Drive. Now, this acts just like a folder. Anything you throw in here will now be synced with iCloud Drive. Think of something like Dropbox, or think of like a USB drive that you have plugged in, anything like that. It's just a file system. That's all it is. So very simple to use. You can save documents in there. There's already 3 folders for you for Numbers, Pages, and Keynote. Now, interestingly, I don't even have Numbers, Pages, and Keynote, but it already put those in there. But you can save anything out here, and it'll sync across. So if you have iCloud Drive signed into all your different computers, it acts a lot like Dropbox. Now, on the phone, it's a little bit different. It'll depend on what app you're using to where you can access your iCloud Drive, when you can save stuff to it. But really, it is a nice Dropbox alternative for your computer. So organize mindfully. I hope that helps. Just go to your system preferences to your iCloud and turn it on, and then it should appear. You might need to give your computer a reboot. Sometimes it's always a good idea when you're changing massive settings in your computer to give it a quick reboot, and then it should show up in the Finder there for you, and you should be able to go away. Use it just like that. So that's iCloud Drive. And then Colin had one that I had not even heard about, which is kind of cool.
My pick of the week, it doesn't have anything to do with, or tip of the week, I'm sorry. It doesn't have anything to do with Apple. It has to do with Facebook.
Which is on, you can access from your Apple device. There's the connection,
Yes.
and we're good.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Last week, they finally introduced the accepting of GIFs or GIFs, whichever way you like to describe it. The type of file where it's not a picture, but it's a moving image. You can upload these now, but there's one stipulation. The file has to end in .gif, and it can't be from the site Imager or Imgur or however people want to pronounce that.
Really?
Apparently, they don't have. There's something with Imager files where it just doesn't pick it up correctly.
Okay.
So if you're pulling from Giphy or GIFSoup or wherever else, you should be okay. I did it this week with, or I think it might have been last week with some stupid GIF just to try and test it out. Worked perfectly. People at work were doing it. I mean, it kind of opens up the possibilities of throwing a lot of people just stupid things, which Twitter was meant for that normally, but now on Facebook, it's nice embarrassing people out in the open.
So now, is this in the Messenger app or in the actual Facebook, posting a status sort of thing?
Posting a status.
Okay. Does it work in the Messenger app as well?
I haven't tested that. I would assume
so.
probably not. I don't think so.
All right. That's always fun. Yeah, no. We'll just stick with that. That works perfectly. If I say yes and you say no, then we can't be wrong. So
exactly.
We might just stick with that. Yeah. So I guess maybe we could actually test that out after the show. So we'll see, and we'll give you guys an update next week. But kind of cool, but kind of something that, you thought they would have had forever. When you told me this news, I'm like, haven't they always had GIFs? And like you mentioned, you're like, well, no, sometimes it played as a video and it was wonky and weird, and now they actually just support it. So
yeah.
Which is exactly what I don't need, is my Facebook feed being filled with even more stupid, useless stuff. So awesome. Yay.
I'm going to help you out and make sure that it is.
Oh, I know you will. Time to ignore Colin on Facebook. All right. So, yes. All right. So that is our tips of the week. iCloud Drive and Facebook now having GIFs, which is pretty freaking awesome. All right. So that is going to just about do it for the show. We're kind of bring it into a close. Kind of a short show tonight. I didn't realize that. We're only at about 40 minutes, but hey, what do you know? So if you guys, especially if you're watching live, we have a few guys in the chat room. This would be awesome. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just going to read the chat and go through here. Oh, okay. So PTD has a great great tip in the chat room, and I totally forgot about this. Even if you don't have Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, if you don't have the apps, which I don't, I know now they're free for anyone buying Macs, but I haven't bought a Mac in a while. You can actually use those in the cloud. So if you go to iCloud.com and log in, you can use those in the cloud, and that's a good way to go. So yeah, perfect advice, PTD, and all of that stuff will save in your iCloud Drive, which is how you will access it. So good piece of advice, even if you don't have the apps. Also good if you're on the go and you maybe are using a library computer or something where you don't have any apps. If you just open up the browser, you can usually get to those. So thank you, PTD, for that. That's awesome. I would love to know if you guys are watching this on YouTube, and I know a lot of you do. Actually, almost half my audience that we have for the show watches it on YouTube. And so if you guys are watching, let me know what you think about the video. And I know we had some audio hiccups today. I could hear it, but that's, just kind of using the new system and getting it worked out. We'll get all of our network bandwidth stuff worked out. I think I'm sending way too much to Wirecast and not enough to YouTube or to Skype. I think that was my problem. But let me know what you guys think. I realized, I have a bunch of different shots here, and for the YouTube people, I'll just kind of switch off. I have me that I can show you guys full screen. If you guys want to see a little bit more full screen, if the two split side by side was too much, let me know. I can start switching back and forth between, and I can show Colin too. We can have him by himself. There you are, Colin, in your beautiful face. And then I can switch back to just both of us. I left it on both of us the entire show just because it's easier for me. I don't have to switch shots. But if that was not big enough, if it didn't look good enough, let us know. Let me know what you guys think. So you guys can always check that out by going to my YouTube page. But beyond that, if you guys have any questions at all, send them over to me via email, mike@wiegertech.com, WIEGER tech.com. Be sure to join the Facebook group, facebook.com/OMN podcast. That's new. It's not /Uyghur Tech anymore because I switched the entire Facebook page because it's not about Uyghur Tech. It's all about Open Mic Night. So if you guys noticed that change, but also join the group. Groups where you post questions, the pages where you get updates, that sort of thing. And anything else you can find over at omnpodcast.com. We would love any sort of iTunes reviews you guys could write for us. I appreciate it. We had 2 this last week. So awesome. Thank you to you two who wrote great reviews. I do have to ask though, if you want to write it, can you write it on the audio one, not the video one? I love them both. I noticed most of you guys are posting them on the video feed on iTunes. Give the audio feed a little bit more love. I know you guys, it's the first one that pops up on iTunes when you search for it. But omnpodcast.com/iTunes, that'll take you there, and you could write a review if you want. That'd be awesome. I realize I'm asking you guys for a lot this week, so maybe I'll tone that down. But with that, we will sign off again. omnpodcast.com. Head over there for everything else, anything I didn't mention, all the old shows, the RSS feeds, the subscription links, all of that sort of stuff. Thank you, Colin Ball, for another awesome week. And he's getting dizzy from all of my last second just pitches right there. But we will see you guys next week. Until we do, though, tech on.